A very good morning. We are very honored to welcome Mr. Ng Chi Meng, Acting Minister for Education, Schools, and Senior Minister of State Ministry of Education as our guest of honor today. Ms. Chang Lai Fang, Permanent Secretary, Education, Ministry of Education, and Chairperson, NIE Council. Mr. Ngo Kian Hong, Permanent Secretary, Education Development. Mr. Wong Siu Hoon, Director General of Education, Ministry of Education. Members of NIE Council, distinguished guests, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen. At this Teachers' Investiture, we have the privilege of presenting 301 teachers from the Bachelor of Arts Education and Bachelor of Science Education programs. You know, each time we have this ceremony, it marks an occasion where we are sending out people who are passionate for this teaching profession. And as you go through this ceremony, it is about celebrating each and every single one of you being certified into this very honorable profession. So I wish to offer my heartiest congratulations to our graduates. Today we are gathered here to celebrate your success and your choice of this noble profession. Colleagues and friends, please join me in a round of applause to celebrate our newest members of the teaching fraternity. In my previous TIC speeches, I spoke at length about the care of the teacher, the courage of the teacher, and the character of the teacher. This morning, I'd like to share with you about the creativity of the teacher. In today's highly complex and challenging scenario, teachers have to be very creative. I remember from the time I started teaching, I thought I really need to be quite generative in my thinking every time I go to the class. When you meet students who are enthusiastic, you got to think of ways to even bring their interest to a higher level. When I had to teach mathematics, and I thought, how do I interest students who are already quite good in the mathematics? I got to go up and read and find out, you know, not just about the formula, but about the people who discovered this formula. And I would tell my students about Pascal, for example, and the Pascal triangle, how it came about. And so you could always be generating ideas of how do I excite the students with the topic. And when you meet a different group of students, you got to generate, hey, what is the kind of pedagogy, you know, that's going to excite them most? And when I was teaching the normal students, I realized that, hey, you need a different set of classroom management altogether. How do you find ways and means to excite and win them over, to make sure that they are with you? It's not about just telling them, hey, you pay attention, but how you I even got the tertiaries to help me think of different ways and words to creatively get them with you. So instead of just shouting at them to say, pay attention, you got to say, are you with me? A few more minutes, you know, and we're going to get there. You got to find different ways of reaching out to them. And all this calls for creativity. So how much effort you put in innovating and creating and customizing is a demonstration of your care to your students. Sometime this year, we had the Caring Teachers Award, and I was very, very gratified that there were about more than 1,100 nominations covering over 234 schools. Now this shows, and these nominations were from students and their parents, and this shows that the public, the society, still appreciate our teachers. But there's something about these caring teachers, because they always go beyond the call of duty, and to their mind, the well-being of the student is foremost in their heart. A creative teacher knows that the best learning environment or lessons don't just come from a ready-made lesson plan or a ready-made resource package. Instead, behind the scene, there is always the careful designing and the planning that is going on. a good number of you will be teaching in the primary school. When you see a kid who somehow seems to lack respect for authority, right? You think a little deeper, why is that so? And then you find creative ways to meet with the student and have a chat with the student and understand the background of the student. Yes, perhaps because of a somewhat disadvantaged background, this child didn't have a sense of learning about respect. And so if you come from that angle, you will find creative ways to win over the students. So creativity for the teacher is a tireless process. Sometimes the things that we do, it works. Sometimes, I got to admit, we try, it didn't work. But don't be discouraged, right? We continuously experiment and find ways. In his book, Thinking Fast and Slow, psychologist and Nobel Prize winner Daniel Kahneman explained that, there are two systems of working in our mind. One is called the fast system. One is called the slow system. And when you look at experts, of course, expert tends to perform things faster and more efficiently. So they accomplish their task with a kind of an expert intuition. But the reality is that this expert intuition actually comes from lots of slow planning experience, constantly trying, reflecting on why things doesn't work, and there the experts build a tacit memory base of mind and masses, so that when it calls for a fast reaction, they are able to produce that better outcome. So similarly in teaching, as you grow to become the expert teacher, and this is our aspiration, every teacher in Singapore will grow towards that expertise. I always am amazed, in our teaching track, we have the senior teacher, lead teacher, the principal, master teachers. To this day, every time I see the master teachers teach, I know, in their experience, they have built up lots of reflection, and they have tried out many, many innovative ways of pedagogy. So, I would encourage you to think in those directions. You need to have the fire when you are in the classroom. What do I mean by the fire? F-I-R-E. You got to think fast. You have a student who is getting out of control, student posing a very challenging question where everybody else are excited. You can't wait and say, I need to go back to the staff room and get some help from my colleagues. You got to think fast, right? You got to work from intuition, from the inspiration. That's the I. You got to respond. You can't just get paralyzed. And you got to feel it. That's the E, the emotions, right? So in the class, you always have to have the fire. But I got to tell you, to build that fire that can ignite the student, we all need that slow, logical, organized, intentional planning that goes behind the scene, not only for the classroom, but for each and every one of your students. And this calls for creativity. And that's where the fun of the teaching comes in. And that's why creative teachers are resilient and have a sense of grit. I failed this time, I will try again, right? Somehow I didn't get the students motivated to this way, never mind. I'll do something else, I'll go back, I check, I ask my colleagues, and I come back again. This time, I'm going to win them over. And that is the joy of teaching. That's why another famous psychologist, Jik Zhang Mahalia, he wrote the book called Flow. And when you are in the flow, he says, when you are an expert in the flow, you get the joy of doing things. And I want to tell you, that's what the expert teachers are. You talk to the people who are more experienced in teaching. They enjoy teaching, like me. Sorry, I'm still giving you a lesson at this Investiture. Because when you get into the flow, you find that teaching is a joy. And I would encourage each of you, as you grow your expertise, fast, slow, reflect, work, get into the field, do it, enter into the flow. And I tell you, I guarantee you, you will enjoy years of teaching. At NIE, our faculty have exposed you to a great variety of pedagogical innovation, team-based learning, self-directed learning, flipped classroom, problem-based learning, and so on. Now, It is your challenge to translate all of this and to implement them in your classroom. So a creative teacher will continuously strive to better himself or herself to impact the students' learning and to create future-ready students with the kind of competencies that will meet the challenging world today. Today's ceremony is a symbolic celebration of a very important profession, as I have said. But this profession comes with a custodian duty. As teachers, we are custodian of our societal values. We are custodian of the anchors that build our society. Some time ago, somebody shared with me that, they have this building in the US, which is a kind of a postmodernism building. And they said that when this building was designed, it has no plan. And so if you go into the building, you will have staircases that lead you to nowhere. And they will have doors that open to nothing. And rooms that are totally unfunctionable. And this is called postmodernism. But the point is, in this postmodern building, can you do your foundation this way? I don't think I want to live in a postmodern foundation, right? In education, we believe that the anchors of values are very important for our foundation. As teachers, we never fail to inculcate the character aspect in our students. We've got to ask ourselves, what kind of values are my students exhibiting? What will they bring to the society, right? How will they contribute as citizens of Singapore? And therefore, you continuously, right, play a great role in building the excellence in character in our students. So I wish you lots of enjoyable planning and experience in fostering the creativity that you have to build our students. With that, let me end with a quote by Dr. Ruth Wong, the founding director of our former Institute of Education. She said, "Teaching has a rejuvenating effect on the teacher, for it is association with the young that keeps him or her young in outlook while accruing wisdom through the years. The future of our nation starts now with you as you shape one student at a time. And I wish you all the very best in this journey." Thank you.